Did it? And we're live. So, who are you and where are you from?
And my name is Othello Gooden Jr. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. Um, that's the basics of it. And
Right, right. And you have a YouTube channel. What do you do on your YouTube channel?
well, I have two. My Quanta filmationz channel is I post like vlogs and original things concerning my music and stories that I've written and are going to write as well. And then I got a gaming channel, 2K Returner, where I do montages of League of Legends and the other video game that I play.
Right. Like, I mean, so you do montage. What kind of montages do you do?
Um, Currently with League of Legends, it's like a pentakill montage, and I have like a little meme in it. Like the last one that I did a little Tony Baker meme when I got a Yi pentakill. So
Nice,
yeah,
nice, nice. So, where can people find you? What channels can people find you if they want to like subscribe to you?
yeah, just look on YouTube on 2K Returner. Right now for my Quantum Formations channel, because I don't have enough subs, like I need to get about 1,000. Now I got like 37. Uh, it has like a little long channel um, number for it. But if you just look up Quantum Formations, you'll find it.
Right. And like, what kind of music do you do on your 2K returner and stuff?
Well, 2K Returner, I do have, I forgot to mention on 2K Returner, I do have parodies of certain songs. Like I do have an Uptown Funk parody. I do have some original League of Legends songs on there. But one I was working on some like parody, old school songs with a parody to it. And that one requires a collab, so I'm still sitting on that right now until I get more people. Then on my Quantifications channel is more or less original music.
Right. Gotcha. Gotcha. So everybody, I'll put his links down in the section down below, and I'm sure we'll call him JT for short. So I'm sure he will be back and stuff like that. And this is not the first time. This is the first time we're doing this together and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So I say welcome everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So we're here to talk about a couple things. First of all, what do you know about the Petito case and Brian Laundrie case and stuff?
Well, the basics of it is to know that I'm not sure on the dates, but the I believe the two were engaged and they were on some kind of vacation, cross country or something like that. And then she went missing. He comes back without her. And when I read like the initial report, I was like, something's not adding up. And then you told me about the live streams you were doing, so then I checked up on what you were doing, and I saw that like, well, put two and two together. Among Us, he looks really sus.
Right,
Mainly because the
right,
fact is, how can you return from a trip without your wife to be? And um, it just screams that he done it all over his face. And when I saw the live stream of the body cam, the wells, what and your commentary on it, and I looked this way. This is a classic um, domestic abuse situation, and it's sad if something happened to it, but it underlines a problem that's currently in the world today, not just in America, of a husband killing their wife because of something trivial that she did, or they can't get along. I'm looking at, if you have that kind of problems, like you really should be working those kind of problems out before you get to that point. If you're so mad that you want to kill your love, you shouldn't be together. Period.
period. Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, what do you think about the whole entire cam footage and stuff? I mean, what did you read from that and stuff?
I saw with one of the way how he's hiding. Sooner or later, he's going to get caught. But what's even more sus is how his parents are also in on it, and that is kind of that really still stinks to high heaven.
Right, right. And how do you think they're in on it? I mean, what kind of gives you that idea that they're in on it and stuff?
Because if they had any sense of justice, they would tell the FBI, what they know and help them find it. But then their their body language reads that they're hiding something along with the lawyer, and they're complicit in the her murder.
Right, right, exactly, and they are complicit, very much so, and stuff. I mean, there's been a lot of detail going into this case. I mean, I've been following this case for a very, very long time and stuff like that. So it's kind of like as you go, you're picking up like a lot of mysteries, mistress, and a lot of
Mhm.
clues along the way and stuff. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Right.
what have you seen for yourself as far as kind of clues are concurred in that, you know?
As far as like what could also lead to like why he wanted to kill her, something like that.
Right, right. What made him snap? I mean, what makes you think that like why do you think he killed her and stuff?
Um, I look at like as far as like the body cam footage that mentioned about them being at a restaurant and he slapped her and she had bruises all over her, and it could be money could be involved. I mean,
Right,
that's a common thing, and I don't suspect infidelity yet.
right.
Yet there, and we won't know that part until they actually publicly release the text messages. They may find he had a mistress on the side, but right now, because of where they were coming from, their trip, they had that big fight, violent argument after coming from a restaurant, and that um, un- unfortunately, that it shouldn't happen like that. But some people, they have financial problems and they blame their spouse. And if you have a really violent temper, you could take it out on them in the wrong way and end yourself up in jail, or like in Brian's case, on the run.
Right, and on the run. I mean, do you think he wanted control over her and stuff, or is it a control thing that he wanted from her, or do you think there's more into it to where he just went psychologically like TikTok boom? You know what I mean?
I think if a part of it, it was something that he didn't address. Either it was something that she did financially that and it could have been over time instead of working out the problem, like if it spends too much. And she does have a problem with anxiety, not to understand it, that kind of screams like maybe she's bipolar to a certain degree. And speaking from experience of dealing with those people, nothing against them, but some of them are spendthrifts, and some of them are
Mm-hmm.
borderline. They have a different personality altogether, and you may be marrying or dating one person, you're actually dating more than one. And we really don't know her mental health history. We know his mental health history. He's psychotic to a certain degree on face value. um, and that I don't want to mention, well, maybe I should. It's like a Harley Quinn Joker type of relationship.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like, can you kind of go into that so people understand it?
I what they mentioned, what did they call it? Stockholm syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
So, basically, the control part of it is that she knows she's being abused, but because the things that he does that controls her, she keeps coming back to him. So, like, she has no choice but to love him, and doing so leads to her digging herself a more of a bigger grave. I mean, even though he's at fault, she's also at fault either, because she felt that he was there for her, and they just went on. It just spiraled out of control from there.
Right, right, right. I agree, and it did. And so she didn't have the confidence to kind of be like, oh, okay, like what do I do now?
Yeah. And another
And
point I was going to mention about how the police handled that, which was really bad on their part. They said some good points about one thing they mislabeled him as being a battered man. I've never heard that term used before. It's usually battered woman.
Right,
Like
right.
how can a man be better? I mean, I understand it from a parental standpoint, but not from a relationship standpoint. It's always the woman that the man has that has is biologically stronger than woman, so they should cherish that their partner to sign them honor. But some relationships aren't like that, and that's the sad part about it when it should be.
Right now, going into the camp footage, I mean, how did you read how the police handled that? Do you think they handled it accurately? I mean, fairly, or do you think that there's more than that?
Now,
What are your thoughts?
I think they could have done more, and I think it was like not really due to incompetence, but probably inexperience, because if these are people who are come from out of state and they're like out in the middle of nowhere. What was it? Was it in Utah or were they in the same state in Florida?
No, it was in Utah. So basically, they were coming from Wyoming and stuff. So it was like, I mean, like, yeah, it was in Utah, and so Utah handles
Yeah,
different things
yeah, that's what I thought.
a different way. I mean, I've been to Utah for a Comic Con, so it's
Hmm.
just like, I mean,
Yeah, and then the sad thing is that as as far as like what happened, like with the police, they could have handled that better. I mean, for me, it's like if he was like acting sus, like for me being like I'm not a policeman, but my own opinion of the matter is I would have had them both locked up and have them both deal with until they cool down, like how you do how they handle it in school. If you got if you're like in a temperature, you go in timeout. In the real world, that's called going to jail or whatever for a while, and it seems like how fist and physical harm is in that you can't see what side of the party. He may say that she did wrong, and then from her you see a totally different story, and you see how anxious he was. I was inclined to look at like the body language as far as
mhm.
he was more cool, like he's hiding some kind of psychotic type of behavior. Like he was too cool. He wasn't, like you know, um, how some people are when they've been caught, and like it's kind of like premeditated. Like he knew what he was doing, and then see with her, she's the one that was out of control, not out of control, but scared stiff. And so you had to take the person who is, about to not go ballistic, but scared out of their mind. You have to take their side, and that makes stuff worse if you don't.
Right, it does because you kind of, you're being manipulating. I've said it the whole entire time that you're like in that situation. He was being manipulating, and he
Mm-hmm.
didn't know it. I mean, he knew what he was doing. He played
Mm-hmm.
those. He played the police like out of the palm of his hands.
Yeah, and we
It's
know
kind of
in
like a chess game. You know what I
yeah, and
mean?
in comic book history, Joker always said that's the police and Batman.
Right, right, exactly. So pretty much, I mean, people were like, he was just like, and that's when it caused a lot for Gabby, I think, just
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, he was just like probably thinking, "Oh, now I'm caught. She got me in trouble. Now the plotting begins. This is how what am it was kind of like premeditated, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?"
he knew what it's like. He had to get rid of her quick before he went back to Florida, and then his parents being in on it. It's almost like from there, like another thing about seeing how his parents reacted is like they were in on being okay with the fact that he wanted to get rid of her,
Hmm.
which
Right.
which makes it a even worse. I'm thinking this guy was about to marry her, and because of one thing and spilled of like all the problems that she had and he had, and you're okay with her being murdered because the fact that you felt that your son was justified in taking her life because she was unfit to live. That does not make any sense whatsoever.
Exactly. I mean, how do you think the parents handled this? I mean, have been handling it is from what you're seeing on that,
That was very sus because of them yelling at the people on their line and whatever media there. I mean, that complicated the issue, but the way how they handled it made them even more suspect to the point that only criminals act like that.
Right, exactly. And there's like a lot of protesters out there, and they're
Hmm.
kind of giving their take about Gabby and the family. And Brian, you have the
Hmm.
sister that just released something. Actually, I do want to show you something and
Hmm.
stuff like that. So that way we can kind of see it and stuff. And it's actually uh them talk well, his sister speaking out on the situation and stuff. And this came out through TMZ just like not too long ago. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So let's take a look at this, and we can kind of. This is on TMZ, so um, let's see if we could hear it. Oh, here we go. All right, can you hear that?
No, I can't hear it.
Oh, you can't hear it. Okay, one sec. So la 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 la. La. I don't know. Hold on one sec. So, um, hmm, okay. Can you can you hear that?
No, probably have to check your desktop audio if it's going through the stream.
All right. It probably. I mean, it's probably. Well, the sister speaks out saying that she's changing her story up and stuff, um, and basically, um, that she's giving different dates and stuff like that. And so that she's talking about that she met one date from the other, and so that's what she's talking about. And so I mean, that's what Cassie's saying about the whole entire situation and stuff. So um
So yeah,
yeah.
so it's from what that is, like from what you said, either she's forgetting the dates or she's been told to say that. And if the latter is the case, there could be some foul play in that as well.
Right, and you also have Dog as well saying a bunch of stuff that Dog the Bounty Hunter saying that he thinks that Brian's alive and well and stuff. So um, there's a lot of being said, and so Dog has found a lot of different clues throughout
Hmm.
since he's been there. I mean, I gotta hand it to Dog because honestly, people thought he was a joke and wasn't taking this pretty serious and stuff. And what he has, I mean, what's your take on Dog handling this case?
I would say, like, for me, it's like, people don't take you serious until you actually are on to something, and he's on to something. I mean, Florida's a big place, but you can't hide from somebody who basically does this for a living. You could be like, a seasoned criminal, but if you're up against someone who's been catching criminals and are really good at it, you don't stand a chance.
Right,
And
right, exactly. So,
and for
on
and like I forgot to mention that that even though Brian thinks that he's hiding now, he can run, but he's hiding right now, but based on Dog's track record, he's going to get his man.
right, let me know if you can hear this. I'm gonna play some footage, and I'm gonna see if it'll like if you could hear it and stuff. Just because there is a witness that claims that he ran into Brian just the other day in the parking lot
Hmm.
of the park that he's in and stuff. So one sec, let's see if we can play
It looked
this.
like a Ford.
Can you hear that?
Heard something.
Okay, so let's play this for a minute and see if you could hear it. So I'll start from the beginning. Here we go.
It was it looked like a Ford F-150 truck. It was white. I was in a car, so I was lower than the vehicle. I rolled my window down, and I started talking with the gentleman. I could tell right away that something wasn't right with him. It took him a second to get anything out, and then he said, "Man, I'm lost." And I thought, I was kind of lost myself. I thought maybe he was another hiker looking for the same parking lot. And I said, "Well, I'm not from around here, but what are you trying to find?" And he said, "Man, I need to go to California." And I was like, "Wow, well, I don't know the directions to California," but he said, "Yeah," he said, "Me and my girlfriend had a fight, and man, I love her, and she called me, and I need to go out to California to see her." And I said, "Well, man, I-40 is right there." We were right next to I-40. And I said, "You can take I-40 west and it'll get you to California."
So, what are your thoughts about that?
I think he's trying to go south of the border into Mexico.
Right. I think he's trying to go into Mexico too. But I mean, everybody that's running into Brian, right? How come? They're not noticing? Oh, hey, Brian, it's you. Police are looking for you. You want to be by the FBI. Turn yourself in. How come they're not giving him that talk? I mean, seriously, because I mean,
He could be. I mean, if they're noticing it at the last minute, he's already gone. And I'm thinking either he's wearing multiple disguises or he's moving too fast for them to even do something.
right, and this is what I've been saying the whole entire time, that I think he's wearing a wig, that he's wearing glasses, that
Because he has no hair. I mean, he could easily just put on like a wig to make himself look like he has long hair. Even he can make himself look like a woman for a while.
right, exactly. I mean, if he wanted to, he'd go into like wear his mask in since COVID and just like,
Yeah.
and basically get a bra and whatever, bra it up and stuff and be
Yeah.
like acting like a chick and all that, like Mrs. Doubtfire of all things,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like Michael Jackson, like Dave or something like that.
Right, like Dave, like how Dave did it back in the day and stuff. I mean, really, I mean, it was like quite the trip with what Michael and Dave were doing. And but seriously,
Yeah.
I mean, do you think they're gonna find him or?
I think they will. If they don't, somebody will, and it might be the Avenger of Blood. I don't know.
What do you mean, the Avenger of Blood?
There may be someone that may be mad that knows that he killed Gabby, and because no one else could catch him, they're probably taking their own hands to get rid of him.
Right. So I mean, totally. I mean, where do you think they're gonna find him in the country, or do you think they're gonna find him outside the country at the abolition part that he's at? I mean,
Well,
because
it would be nice if they're able to get him before he exits the country, because if he goes to another country, the whole rules are different, no doubt. I mean, he may run into somebody in Mexico that may know what went on, or it may be something else that he may did, and like, who knows, maybe it might be years, but he has another girlfriend and the same thing happens. It may go to a point is that someone in their family may just like judge, jury, executioner all right there.
right, exactly, and so people are probably gonna think, oh, okay, so I know he doesn't want to go to jail because the guy already talks about, like, I mean, if he can't go hiking, that it's and getting out in the world, that it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like being locked in a box. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And stuff. I mean, what are your thoughts about that?
As what do you mean talking about going out? Like, well, I'm not really a hiker, but I mean, for it is rough out there when you're trying to do hiking and stuff. But if you know how to do it, it's fine. But and it's a little bit hard to catch a criminal that knows how to survive in the wild because they can hide anywhere, and you have to have someone who has that mindset to know where they will go.
Hmm. Definitely, definitely,
Someone like Dog.
definitely. So, yeah. Other than that, yeah. I mean, I think that I mean, the dog will find him. I mean, because there's people that are trying to find him, like John Walsh.
Hmm.
Um, who else do you have out there besides the FBI and dog? I mean, you have a lot of people out there and stuff. I mean,
Hmm.
you have the sheriff's departments, you have dogs, like dogs, hunting dogs. So,
Hmm.
um, I mean, I just think that parents need to open up their mouths a little, but they probably won't. You know what I'm saying? So,
No, well, I mean, when you got people in on it and they're complicit, aiding and abetting a criminal, they're not going to open up unless you do something that makes them want to. I mean, liquidate their assets or something like that. They have no choice. But I don't see that happening because you're going to need a federal warrant for that. And if you can catch them before having to go to that point, all the better. But at this time, it's somewhat up in the air of what can actually happen.
Exactly. Yeah, I believe that's true. That to be true too and stuff. So, besides the Gabby Petito case, and the Brian Laundrie case, the dirty laundries, I know that you're a Flash fan and you're an Arrow
Yes.
fan, and what do you want to? I mean, you want to talk about some stuff on Flash and Arrow?
Yeah. I was looking at the around different YouTubers. A shout out to the YouTubers that I do watch, like Pagey and Emergency Awesome. Um, about mostly the Flash season 8. Some of the things they were talking about. Eric Wallace. I read and also watched that they were trying to do more. It's going to be like the more comic book accurate for season 8. And they even had like some leaked sec photos about you see Barry Allen in a Reverse Flash suit, but then if you read the comics, you know that because of Barthon's obsession of the Flash, there was a time where he wore his face because he wanted to be him, which that's like the most it's really creepy. But
Right, there was like a clone of him in that.
mhm,
I mean, in the comics and stuff. I mean, basically,
mhm.
to where everybody thought, the Reverse Flash was Barry.
Yeah, but he already wanted to be him, so they're doing that like origin story of him like at the beginning of season 8, and on I guess that's like intertwined with the Armageddon crossover event.
hmm hmm
Um, and so that was interesting because I'm always hyped for the Flash, even though it's like that is my favorite DC character, and there are some characters that I've created myself that are based on the Flash family because that's like that and um, Naruto as well.
Right, right, exactly. And I like how Michael Rosenbaum played the Flash back in the day. For a little while and stuff like that.
I
So
don't think I've actually saw that, but there's actually one I do say that the Lex Luthor of it. I like the way how he played him in the CW, and then uh the part where the Crisis on Infinite Earth, that was really grand what they did with that. I mean, you have the I can't think of the other guy that did the CW currently.
Cryer, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
from Two
he
and a
was
Half
good.
Men.
He was good too. But the thing is that Michael Rosenbaum's version was more diabolical.
What do you mean diabolical for people that?
There were some things that he did, like as far as like even though Lex was John Cryer's version, he was more or less on the bureaucratic side, whereas um the Michael Rosenbaum, he had a little bit of the guy that was in the Christopher Reeves version of it. Like he was able to, you got like these all world powers, and then he was able to get all this, like even though he hated Kryptonians, he's using their technology against them. It's like, how can you hate someone, everything about them, their culture, but you're using their culture to fight them?
Exactly, exactly. How are you doing that when you don't like them? I
Right.
mean,
I mean, because Michael Rosenbaum's portrayal of the character, he hated Superman, but he wasn't like kryptonophobic about it.
right, right,
And John Crye's
exactly.
version was kind of like, and that hindered him to the point of, if he wasn't so kryptonophobic, he would have did a lot more damage to Superman as what Michael Rosenbaum did. And he had a bunch of Michael Rosenbaum. He had a bunch of clones, and on top of that, he was able to trap his girlfriend and his ex-wife in a suit that she was never able to be close to Superman because she was infected with green kryptonite, and she was super powerful, but she's infected with green kryptonite that gave her her powers. And I said that's something that John Cryer would never come across his mind. He'd rather throw her in the Phantom Zone than actually make her life a living heck.
Right, and you heard about the animation series that they're doing with Smallville. Tom Welling has made that clear that they're bringing that back as far as an animation goes.
Yeah, they
And,
should. I mean,
and
because they actually like I heard something about that they actually did like they continued the series in like a comic book or something like that.
mhm.
And I'm thinking it would have been better if it was either an animation or a live action, but and Tom Welling got his own production company, so he can do whatever he wants,
Right,
given
right.
given he has the rights.
Right, and just think that I mean, honestly, I was just in Lexington, so um, pretty much I saw stuff in ML, and he looks forward to like working with Michael Rosenbaum some way somehow, and so
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking if they're gonna bring back an animation for Smallville, do
Mm-hmm.
you think they're gonna do the same thing for Green Arrow? You know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Then I think isn't that his cousin that played the original Green Arrow in the Smallville universe?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that would be nice. Because when you're dealing with DC, like different from Marvel, they have a lot of like dimensions and things like that, and it could be fun to go through. I mean, it was kind of like interesting the way how they actually gave homage to like in Crisis on Infinite Earths that Stephen Amell Green Arrow was one of the first planets to Earths to get wrecked by the Monitor, and I'm thinking even that was kind of sus looking at the Monitor. It was like you're testing dimensions by giving them a 1v1 against a cosmic level entity. I'm like, really?
Exactly, exactly. You're kind of tested that out, So
Yeah, but then when I looked at it, it's like, okay, you're testing them to fight your alter ego, which was the anti-monitor, who was just as powerful. And I'm like, yeah, I can see the logic in that, but it would have been better like what the Spectre did for Barry. You could have augmented everybody's powers instead of like switching, instead of like killing off dimensions that wasn't worthy, or doing what they did in Elseworlds, switching Barry's body with Oliver. And I'm like, yeah, you could have handled that better, but the anti monitor and monitor is a flawed character to a certain degree. He.
right. I mean, that's what Stephen Amell talks about too. Is like when
Mm-hmm.
he did the crossover with Barry and stuff, and they
Mm-hmm.
switched bodies. I mean, that
Mm-hmm.
was pretty awesome to let Stephen have Barry's powers,
Mm-hmm.
and Greg Gustin's powers to
And
where
then the revenge of when they were shooting arrows.
right, exactly. I
When I
mean,
saw
they
that, I just died, and,
right.
and it was like, come on, now it's like that was a payoff from several seasons ago, and I'm like, yeah, Oliver deserved that.
Right, exactly. So pretty much, overall, that I think they really enjoyed doing that episode. The only thing that I really don't like that has bombed on me is Supergirl. I mean, honestly, it's
Yeah,
gone
yeah, it's
downhill.
somewhat of identity politics, but I'm like, they're all inclusive. No shame in that. Um,
Right,
some writers want to do that to get with the times, but after a while, it gets old. Like, okay, yeah, you have like the first, transgender or like lesbian, whatever, but don't throw it in our face every episode. This is supposed to be about Supergirl, not Super Friends.
right. Not super friends, not super, girlfriend, boyfriend, girlfriend. I mean, it's
Yeah,
about Supergirl saving the world. So, I mean,
right.
overall, it's dropped in its ratings and stuff. I mean, it kind of got boring to me in the like the third season. I mean, it really has.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean, and I'm not really fun about like how Lena finds out about her roots being spiritistic, and I'm like, is she going to be like another Doctor Doom, but in the CW universe? Doctor Doom could use technology as well as he can with magic,
right, exactly,
and I'm
exactly.
like, even though she's the good side of the Luther, you look at from the fact is that from has it been done before and how good can they do that, and she could wind up being a female Doctor Doom but minus the evil aspect of her. I don't know, maybe the magic might corrupt her like it did her biological mom. I don't know.
Right, exactly. And so basically, I just think that, since it's going away, I think that Melissa will find something else to do. You know what I mean? I mean, she's got to find that niche about her because, I mean,
Yeah.
playing politics and like something like that.
Mm.
Yeah, no,
But they're
I
already
mean,
dealing with like Mixie. I didn't care for Mixa Pickle, but then you got Nixa Pickle, or whatever her last part of her name was. Um, like the fifth dimensional imps always really irk me because they always mess with Superman in a certain way. It's like you can't contend with them unless some kind of like wordplay that you have to say, and I'm like, okay, we're going to deal with this imp for the rest of the season, really?
right,
And I'm
exactly.
thinking the way, like me being a writer myself, I can almost like they might not go this way, but they may say when Lena learns how to use magic, she'll be able to contend with a fifth dimensional imp. And I'm
Exactly.
like, and that in itself kind of is a bit problematic. It's almost as bad as like John Cryer's um uh Lex Luthor with the book.
Right. That the book, I think that was a bad spin on that, just because, I mean, having the
Mhm.
book and the book of magic,
Yeah, and he
this
could rewrite anything he wants, and it was kind of funny in one part that where he tried to get rid of Tom Welling's Superman to find out he gave his powers up. And he just like he just like rage quit. I'm out of here.
right. And I talked to Tom, and he was just like, I mean, I put some Jonathan Kent in that, when so he was going back to the Jonathan Kent days, to where his dad was alive and stuff, and I like how he
Mhm.
did that and stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
and
that was golden the way how it's like, well, yeah, you're gonna kill every Superman except for this one because he's not really Superman anymore. So it's like, move along, go somewhere else, go to another dimension. Nothing to see here. Move on.
right, and everybody wants to know how he gave up his powers. And I really didn't ask Tom how he gave up his powers, but I think, on like his ring finger, you see him wearing a blue kryptonite ring and stuff
Mhm.
that gives up his powers and stuff.
Well,
So
that's only temporarily. However, remember in Smallville, Chloe had stopped him from one person when he was getting married. This guy tried to give him a gold kryptonite ring.
right, right.
So I'm thinking he could have gave it up for good. Like he doesn't need it
Right, and the gold kryptonite, just takes his powers away, right?
permanently.
Right, right. So, I mean, pretty much, I mean, you never know. Maybe I mean,
Well, I
what
didn't
I
say
got.
it. I thought the green looked kind of gold. I mean, because and it was kind of looked like it was made of kryptonite. I don't know if it was blue. Maybe you saw it was blue. I didn't see it blue.
Right. Well, I mean, maybe I just thought it was blue. Maybe it was a different color because on TV, everything's a different color.
Yeah,
But
it is.
uh, but I mean, when I cover another Comic Con, that's one of the questions I'm going to ask Tom and Michael. Is it's like, how did Clark give up his powers? How did he do it?
Mhm.
I mean, was it
Well, yeah,
did
it protected him from getting smited.
right? I mean, because nobody's asked that at a Comic
Mhm,
Con. Like, how did Clark, give up his powers to have this life and
mhm,
stuff? Where Lex Luthor tried to come in and like destroy him, and he didn't have his powers.
mhm.
I mean, yeah. I mean, how do you think he did it?
He could have used gold kryptonite, or it could have been blue. Because I'm thinking that if the Book of Destiny was looking for Superman, and or if I don't know if he was looking for Superman or Kryptonians. I'm thinking Superman. If he was looking for Superman, the gold kryptonite would have not made him a Superman. So I'm thinking, like what you say, he probably had a blue kryptonite ring on, and because the Book of Destiny found him when he put kryptonite in front of him and it didn't work. I'm thinking that blue kryptonite protected him from the effects while it made him normal.
Right. And the real said the show of Lois and Clark with Dean Kane was looked kind of good. I
Oh yeah,
agree.
that one
And I
too.
mean
Yeah.
that was too. I mean Dean Kane, I mean he's played in some really awesome stuff, and
Yeah,
that
and then also, what do you think about the Superman and Lois?
right. I was just gonna ask about that. You
Mhm,
know, you have Tyler from Teen Wolf and stuff.
mhm.
I mean,
That one was
and
actually, interesting the way I liked it. About, I mean, like I was watching that with my family until, like, my father and I, that was something we bonded on it then. But he really doesn't really care for time travel and dimensional stories. And when he found out about alternate reality, Dark Superman stuff, he's like, nah, I'm out of here. But for me, I kept on going, and it was kind of interesting the way how they brought in the Steel universe of John Henry, which at first I didn't actually know Steel was a DC property. And
mhm.
I'm thinking, and it in hindsight it dawned on me. I said, Shaquille O'Neal actually played in a DC movie.
Right, Shaq was really good in that movie. I
Yeah.
kind of it's on demand here, and
Hmm.
so I want to catch up with that, and it's also on HBO Max
Oh, and this was
because
actually another funny thing when we first saw John Henry. I almost thought, and my mom and I was talking about, it's like he almost looks like Seal,
he
but
kind
it
of does
wasn't.
look like Phil. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit about it, and he has that same accent as it too.
Mhm.
But and then the cliffhanger, what have you seen the last episode? His daughter coming from the now thing is like, how does she cross dimensions? Really?
Right, exactly. How? I mean,
Yeah, and
yeah.
then it's going to open up another bomb because her mom is dead, and then now here's another mom from a different dimension. And it sometimes gets fun when you're writing. You have those kind of like, okay, you got this one story here. Like I'm guilty of it too. Like my stories have multiple realities in it. So you have like the set of realities in one, and then you look at how can I flip this on its head? Like this person may be dead in this dimension, but not dead in this dimension. This person may be a good guy in this dimension, but not be a good guy in this dimension. And the way how they did that in Superman and Lois, how in one dimension, like at first I thought it was in their future, but then they mentioned that John Henry Irons was dead, and I said, okay, it's an alternate reality. They just squashed it right together. And so I look at, and then they brought in the idea of I think they did a little bit of fan fiction with Superman's older brother, because I was looking at that and they said, I don't know if his name was Taro in the fan fiction, but they basically like the way like Superman has never had like siblings as far as I'm concerned in the comics.
Right. And he didn't, from what I knew, but I mean,
But they
he,
pulled from a fan fiction, which was good. So that person who wrote that fanfic that years ago, hopefully they're still alive. And they said like, oh, my story just got probably millions of clicks because the showrunners used my idea.
right, exactly. But I mean, it did work. I mean,
Hmm.
because I mean, it's being done in the new Superman show. It really is,
Hmm.
and it's been done in Smallville.
Hmm.
You have it's working all over whatsoever. I mean, that's
Yeah,
what's
the one
cool
thing
about
that
it.
I like about these, like, I admire the showrunners of like the DC and Marvel property as well. When they add like certain like even in Smallville, like like all the certain players, and but then they get like new ones like Chloe Sullivan. She wasn't really in there, but like some other person, and even like Lex doesn't actually have a sister as far as I'm concerned in the comics, or it's like
Right.
as good as him, but Smallville did that, and then they borrowed that same idea when they did with the CW, and that was really interesting. But the thing is that unlike the Smallville Lena Luthor, um, this Lena Luthor is, I would say, like a anti-hero.
Exactly. An anti yeah, definitely. An anti-hero definitely. So I mean, my favorite of all is I think I like how they brought up in the high school world and then Pete Ross left and stuff like that as Clark's best friend in Smallville.
Hmm.
If you remember him and stuff, I mean he was really, really awesome and stuff. I think Pete should have came back through. I mean, he came back like for another episode during the season when he had a race car, had a car race or whatever. But other than that, I think they should have brought him back for the main finale of Smallville of
Yeah, I
all
think that what.
things.
Yeah, about the finale. The one thing that I think they kind of dropped the ball. Like, and I was talking to this with with one of my brothers from another mother. Back then, they didn't like how they did Darkseid because he said
Right.
like Darkseid is not that easily defeated. Like, really, he just does like a yoga um headbutt and he's done for something like that. And I'm like, Darkseid is a deity level character, and Clark should be having problems with like they could have extended it another season dealing with Darkseid, not like he possesses a dead Lionel Luthor and he's gone after he destroys his host. No, Darkseid has his own body.
Right. I mean, for those who don't know, who is Darkseid?
Darkseid is he is one of Superman's greatest enemies, and he's the leader of Apocalypse and the New Gods.
Right. So, I mean, do you remember who he was portrayed by in Smallville?
That I don't know. It's been so long ago.
Well, Darkseid was portrayed by I think it oh my gosh, I think it was Ray Porter, I think.
Mm,
I think he was in it's either the Justice League or something,
mm,
but yeah, so Ray Porter was played by Darkseid. I think that's what I remember, you know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. But most of all, who I really liked back in the day was I think it was the original Flash, which was
Oh
played
yeah,
by
yeah.
John Wesley Shipp.
And I actually saw part of Michael Roosevelt's Inside of You where he was interviewing him about some of the things that like now um as far as like bringing back the Flash, but he's playing Barry's father and emotional with Grant Gustin, but now he's going to be on Stargirl as far as the Jake Garrick of that era. And I'm thinking, well, I don't know if it was a rumor or not that he really had a problem with the Flash suit back during the 90s. But then you look at it right now, the suits are a little bit better, and he didn't have a problem with it.
Right, that's why they wouldn't put him in the original Flash shoot was because he had a lot of issues with it. It would
Yeah,
it was hard to get into for John to get into, and
right. But I mean, when you think about it, it's the 90s versus the second decade or third decade, and it's like suits are way better because back then they had, if you wanted to play like an animal, they didn't have the motion capture technology that they have right now.
right, like Michael Keaton's Batman, it was hard for him to
Yeah,
get in that suit
or
and
even
stuff.
the original Planet of the Apes.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, Planet of the Apes, it was hard for. I can't remember what's his name who played Planet of the. Do you remember?
uh you mean the human, or Charlton Heston, or somebody
Yeah,
else?
Charleston Heston. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, with development today, they're really good on
Hmm.
costumes. But back in the day, like you had, like it took Jack Nicholson like around 6 hours just to get a makeup and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, Dave Batista did the same thing with Drax. But the thing is, he had a lot more layers to put on. I think something like that years ago would have probably took him a day to do it because of all the application and the primitive paint that you had to put on. But nowadays, it's I wouldn't be surprised like with the now you could probably like don't have to put any makeup on, just get a CG artist to be able to paint that over you, and all you do is
Right.
just wear a suit.
Right, and plus they had to put your body into a cast today to kind of like do the
Hmm.
sizing and stuff. I
Hmm.
mean, just think back then, like on the original Incredible Hulk with Lou
Hmm.
Ferrigno,
Oh
Lou
yeah.
told. I mean, I went to Lou myself at a Comic-Con, and he was just like, it took me like around 5 hours just to get a makeup and
Mm.
stuff,
And look
and
at Mark Ruffalo. All he has to do is just put on a suit, and then they just paint the Hulk over him in post production.
Right, exactly. I mean, that's all you have to do and
Hmm.
stuff. And so I was just like, oh my gosh, everything has changed from yesterday, from today. That's new. I
Hmm.
mean,
Oh, and the
that,
one thing I wanted to mention about, even like he mentioned about the back, John Wesley Shipp in the interview mentioned about the Flash was just a guy who ran fast. He was a speedster, and then you have like the background with the Flash and everything. And I'm like, well, yeah, like my father remembers the one back in '90. I don't, because I think I was too, well, no, I was like I think maybe about 10 or 11, 10 when it first came out, and I didn't even know it existed. I didn't even know that Doctor Strange had a movie back during that time, but or the series, I can't remember. But anyway, um, with John Wesley Shipp, the he was just the Flash was just a guy that ran fast, but then you got the Flash based on the comics, and you see like there's a lot more development, a lot more stories you can go with. And that was a project, a lot of those actors, they're proud to be a part of. We got that kind of deep history of characters. You enjoy your job.
honestly, I think back in the day when we all rented DVDs and videos and games and all that, like
Hmm.
Blockbuster or Hollywood Video, I mean, that's how I found, back when I was like 10, I
Hmm.
found, that's how I found The Flash is John
Right.
Wesley Shipp. I mean, because he brought out like the pilot was on like VHS and stuff, and that's how I
Hmm.
found it. And so I fell in love with it, and I was just like, how in the hell can I find this show? Seriously.
Yeah, and then I was also thinking about like how Flash was in Smallville, but he was kind of like a minor character. And it was kind of like they wanted to hit on the Superman versus Flash trope and know that Flash is always the faster on ground.
hmm hmm I wish they would, yeah, Impulse. I mean, I wish they would bring that kid back. I mean, because it's pretty
Yeah.
cool and stuff. But they always want to kind of like, make a new character out
Yeah,
of
and also the
something.
one thing is I wonder creatively how they changed the fact of Barry and Iris's children. Like I was expecting Don and Don, and they gave us Nora. And then I was expecting, like, that you're gonna have a son, but instead of making them twins, she's the older sister, and Bart is the annoying little brother. And I'm like, really? It makes it even funnier because because of him being Impulse, of how annoying he can be to his little sister. I mean,
Right.
to his older sister. And I'm like, the kind of sibling, right? You can't really have that with twins to a certain degree, but you can have that with a much older sibling with a little sibling, and they had to make him be the more impulsive one, and her being uh, the the reserved, smart one.
Oh, right, right, exactly.
And his
So,
and his him being impulsive drives her up a wall. And I'm like, and you bring your problems to the past, and now Barry and I are going to have to see this is what we're going to have to deal with 10, 20 years, 10, 20 years from now. And like, hey, yeah, so you better fix this right now.
exactly. I mean, so overall, my question for you is just like, what do you think is going to happen in this season? What are they going to go based off of? Do you think? I mean, from what you've seen from Emergency Awesome and stuff. I mean, and Pagey.
Yeah, I actually think that they're like, because they said they're going to keep the twins around, and I don't know if this is going to be the last season, which they don't really hint towards it being the last season. Like I don't like the fact is that they kept like their children around for like one season or like a half of the season, and then they're like Back to the Future. I'm like, yeah, there's another movie series for that. If you introduce a Flash character, why don't you keep them around for a couple of seasons? You did with almost every other speedster, so why not? They're children. They're part of the Flash family.
hmm
So if they say that it is true that Nora and Bart are going to be around for season 8, they could have a bad guy that requires all the Flash to deal with. Besides Reverse Flash, I mean, he's like the ultimate. He has to be the last boss.
Right, and I like it how people could come in and leave as they go and stuff like
Hmm.
that. Because you have Carlos that
Yeah, Godspeed was actually a good one too. I mean, the way how they spun on it, that Reverse Flash is Barry and Godspeed is Impulse. But I'm like, pre-crisis, Godspeed was Nora, but I'm like, well, um, and how they dealt with that, I have no problem with that. They did what they want, and the idea of it's I like where they're going with that direction as far as like the kind of psychological aspect. And me being a writer, I learn from how they write those kind of things.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, overall, I mean, I like how they run it too and stuff. So you never
Mhm,
know what's going to happen and stuff. But we'll
mhm,
have to kind of keep on talking about it and stuff, and
mhm.
make some updates together. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And stuff. So, I mean, but overall, out of the Flash, I think Carlo. Do you know who Carlos is?
Don't think so. Refresh my memory.
Carlos is the one that
Oh no,
played.
Carlos Battles. Okay, I didn't hear what you said. Carlos Battles, the vibe.
Yeah, yeah. I like how he played his vibe and stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah, and then you had Mecha Vibe at the end,
right,
which was insane. And the one part that was kind of interesting, the way how the monitor gave him back his powers just for Crisis, and I was like, you're not getting out of this. Like, you were born a meta human, you're going to use that power to help your friends.
right, right. And I think that they should bring him back again. Maybe who knows? We'll see him in this season 8 and stuff. I mean,
Yeah, he
you
has
never.
to. Like, I'm expecting him and Tom Cavanaugh as HR. I mean, not HR. A version of Harrison Wells that's not Reverse Flash, not Wellsabard, to show up for the final season. Whether it be this season coming up being the last one, or probably season 9 or 10, I don't know, but they should be in the finale episode. Maybe you take a couple seasons off, and then when the Flash wraps up, then you have an all-star reunion.
Right, but I wish you would make this version that they have now into a movie, but they don't because
Mhm.
they have a Flash movie that's coming out soon too,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah, they can't step on the toes of that. And I like they saying something about, I saw heard about it, that they're doing a version of Flashpoint, which I'm going to really like the way how they like. I've seen it in animated form. Let's see it in live action, and I've already seen like the Crisis in comic book form, and I saw it in live action, and they did a superb job doing that. So hats off to Eric Wallace and his team for doing that, because that was that I would say goosebumps of me being a writer, learning from how can I do something like that. Not copy pasta, but having events similar to Crisis, because they had me on emotional roller coasters how they executed that crossover event.
Exactly, exactly. I mean I mean, hats off to them and stuff.
Yeah, but
And
the Armageddon storyline has to be better than Crisis on Infinite Earths, because they've actually, the way you look at the progression of the past crossover events, like they kept on getting better, and they were incorporating more CW shows in. Like, I'm expecting maybe Stargirl to be in on the Armageddon storyline. I don't know if they, probably the rumor that it was, but I'm not for certain how many CW shows are going to be in the Armageddon crossover. But we do know that I think it's the Sparrow that is the boss of it.
pretty
Um,
much. I mean, what do you think about them bringing back Michael Keaton's character for Batman? I
oh, and
mean,
the crossover.
yeah, in the crossover. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the OG Batman. He deserves to be in it.
Right, and I know that he played in Spider Man pretty well. I mean
Yeah,
his character in Spider
yeah, he
Man
played the
was
Vulture,
yeah the Vulture.
which was pretty the Sinister Six, and I also was probably switch franchises, the Marvel verse, with Spider-Man No Way Home, which a lot of hype of seeing all three Spider-Man in it, and with the kind of leaks that are in it, and I'm like, what I don't remember if it was a video that I saw either on Paige's channel or Emergency Awesome, how they Marvel purposely puts out fake information so you don't know what's going to be in a movie.
Right, because you have Toby Maguire. They've
Mhm.
asked if if
Mhm.
Toby Maguire is going to be in it.
But we already
Um,
know Andrew Garfield's in it because he was in the second trailer.
right, Andrew Garfield. I already know, but he's denying when he goes on talk shows.
Under
So
contracts, they have to do that because I mean, if I was like, uh, if I do, get to the point that I'm making movies, for me, I really wouldn't do an NDA that they wouldn't be able to talk about because I'll take promotion of this, but you do, but to each their own. Some movie studios have their actors and actresses on contract not to talk about certain aspects of them being in it. But I'm thinking, why would you want to hold that off? I mean, it would be, a promotion for you to know that you're in it. People are going to, be hyped about it even more and talk about it. That will get more people to be interested in seeing it because, oh, so and so's in the movie. If they didn't talk about it, how are we going to know? It's like, you know, some people don't like that kind of secrecy, but that's just me.
right, and you look at the rumors, like when you see Andrew
Mhm.
Garfield on the Tonight Show, he's just like,
And
that
then you
wasn't
find out
me.
when he shows up in a trailer, he's in it. So I don't know if they're releasing another trailer, but you're probably going to see Toby Maguire in it, or they might do like they hold off, like you only see Andrew and Tom, but then when you see the movie, the only way that but then there's people who actually like even with Let There Be Carnage, they're already
Right.
leaking parts of the movie out on YouTube and across the internet. And I'm like, yeah, thanks you very much because now when I see the movie, I mean, I don't care for spoilers. Me personally, I love spoilers. Like my parents was watching The Accountant the last night. I just went on Wikipedia to know what everything was about. So
Right, exactly, and I'm just gonna tell you, I saw Let There Be Carnage, but I'm not gonna spoil it for other people out there in case they want to go to the theater or watch it on YouTube
I
to
already
let
know what's
them
going on
know.
too because
Yeah,
I've read the Wikipedia, so I'm not gonna say anything.
right, but I think that Tom Hardy's gonna be actually in No Way Home. I mean, it's
Yeah, because of what happened in with Doctor Strange, and that's one too. Like we mentioned about the fabric of the multiverse, and I'm like, and then you see all the memes about people talking about, oh, it was Wanda that broke the multiverse. No, it was Sylvie that broke the multiverse. No, it was Doctor Strange that ultimately broke it. I'm thinking Wanda is, even though she's newly Scarlet Witch, the Sorcerer
exactly.
Supreme is still stronger than her at this point.
Exactly. And so, I mean, overall, I think that what they plan to do, I saw a article on Google to where they're gonna probably bring in Teffer, the one that played, um, the original Black Spider-Man and Spider-Man 3. I mean, Toby after Peter Parker got rid of his powers, who did it go to? Do you remember?
Uh, was that symbiote or was that something different?
It was a symbiote. Yeah.
Yeah, that went to Eddie Brock.
Eddie Brock. So
Yeah,
they're thinking about bringing in Eddie Brock they're gonna have a lot going on with this movie too.
yeah, that's going to be a really nostalgic movie because I mean, and then when you look at it, even from Marvel's standpoint, the way how they established the multiverse, like I no longer call it the MCU, I call it the MCM,
What's MCM?
Marvel Cinematic Multiverse.
Multiverse. That makes sense. So
Yeah, yeah. I
yeah.
mean, since Loki, you can no longer call it the MCU. I would say
Definitely.
the end of Loki, and then the way how like Jonathan Majors, how he played He Who Remains, and I'm like saw a bunch of spoilers talking about the last boss is going to be a version of Loki, like King Loki. We didn't see that. I'm thinking that footage of King Loki was probably either saved for season 2, or that was like what Marvel does, puts out fake footage to throw people off. And then you already saw that, people, the one leak that I saw on Reddit before the last episode said that He Who Remains will show up as the final boss. And one was in the credits was Jonathan Majors, but they removed it because it wasn't supposed to be in there. And I said, no, we already know he's in the last episode. And that leak was right. And the way how he played He Who Remains, he was kind of chill, but there was some kind of like sus aspect of him, and you found out why. I'm like, you orchestrated everything, like you ultra sus for that, you time traveling crook.
Right, exactly. Exactly. But other than that, we will. This will have to continue because I know we had both have to get going and do some stuff. So,
Right?
um, definitely. But I mean, are you willing to come back again to
Yes.
and stuff and like let it out to your subscribers? Tell people on Twitch. Let this like get all over so we can really
Yes.
have some fun and even invite some other people and see to talk, and
Right.
stuff. So, but yeah, so like again, how can people find you? How can my subscribers find you?
Okay. So on YouTube, 2K Returner, and
Okay,
Quanta Filmationz, spell like how my name is on here. Instagram, JG the Traveler.
okay,
Um, what did I got? Twitch, I think, is Traveler's Frontier. That's been defunct for a while because unfortunately, the way, because my computer is really old now, it's trash and I can't stream anymore. Sucks,
right,
but um,
right.
that's on pause for right now. That was Traveler's Frontier '09. Reverb Nation, JG Traveler. Mostly you find me on JG Traveler anywhere. Like I'm basically the only JG Traveler on the internet
Right, and then
that's in the music.
right, and this JG Traveler is the one behind the scenes that makes the music for a lot of aerial footage that I do and
Mhm.
stuff like that. So, if you guys need music or if you guys are looking for music, like look for the JG Traveler. Yeah, definitely. So, other than that, this will be continued, and we'll have to bring you back and stuff. And you're more than welcome to come back anytime, man. So
All right,
yeah,
thanks. Thanks
yeah,
for
but
having me.
yeah, for sure. So we will see you guys later, and don't forget to subscribe, like this video. Yeah, you know. Anything before we go?
No, that's it.
All right, see you guys later. Bye for now. All right.